Okay, yes, I think we are live.
Yeah.
Greetings and welcome to this Breakwater Festival video. We have a special meeting today. We have some of the first ticket holders here of the Breakwater Festival here in this call, and yeah, I will give a brief info about the festival, and then we can talk and share our stories. And yeah, I mean, as most of you probably have heard, the Breakwater Festival will take place in Germany in October, from 27th till 29th of October. And yeah, speakers will be Paul Vanderklay, Andrea with the Banks, familiar names of this corner, and also some new names, Dr. Thomas Steininger and Aaron van Os. And yeah, I think that will be an awesome weekend. The idea is that we have some talks, some conversations, some small group discussions. There will of course be estuary breakout sessions. And like the title of the event is Paths, Places, and People Navigating the Journey of Meaning. And the speakers they will work on their topics in the upcoming weeks, but that's basically the idea. And yeah, maybe one thing that's also interesting to you guys is that Thomas Steininger, he will bring a new format. So he will do a fishbowl format, and he said that this could easily engage up to 100 people. So depending on how many people will come, we not only have small group formats, but also one big group format. So we are excited about that. Yeah. Exactly. What else is to say? Yeah, I mean, there are only 100 tickets, so below the video you will find the link to the ticket site, and yeah, you should
100
not wait too
tickets,
long.
just enough for the fishbowl.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, what else? There will be shared meals, there will be campfire, there will be some musical acts in the evening. Yeah, and if you feel at home in this corner, this festival will definitely be for you. And yeah, I think that's all I need to say for now. That was the housekeeping, and yeah, now we can start kind of with kind of an estuary format. Yeah, let's start with a round of introductions. Like, who are you? Where are you located? How did you find this place? René, why don't you want to start?
I don't know why I wouldn't want to start, so I will take this invitation. So I'm René. I'm 24 years old. I just stumbled upon the Discord server from Bridges of Meaning about a year ago, just before you were releasing the announcement for the first festival, the Bomb Festival in Landau last year. At that time, I was looking for like a place to talk about the ideas of Jonathan Pajot and his videos and his symbolic framework and all that sort of stuff. And I couldn't find anything online because it turns out it's invite only. But I stumbled upon this this Reddit thread where someone recommended to use the Bridges of Meaning server instead, because this is also associated to this corner, this net of ideas. And yeah, well, then you announced the festival, I think, that day, and I was really excited to hear about that. That there are other crazy people out there who are interested in talking about symbolism and meaning and whatnot. And so I went there, and I was well, I wouldn't say I was surprised, but that was a really cool time, really great weekend. Met a lot of nice people that I'm still in touch with, just from these couple of days, and kept in touch through Discord, and the relationships grew. The last year was pretty turbulent in a good way, in a positive way. But yeah, so I'm excited that when you announced that you were doing a second event this year.
Sounds great. Did you say where you're at?
Oh, sorry. No. I'm living near Cologne in the Rhine area in Germany. Yeah.
Are you German?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I thought I heard a little French, but I was not sure. So
Just the name.
yeah. Okay. Nice. Cool.
Great.
So
Thank
maybe
you.
I can continue. Yeah. So I'm Diego Valdivia. I am from Venezuela, Latin America, and I moved to Europe 5 years ago to the Netherlands. I came here to finish my studies and to continue working. Well, actually, escape from Venezuela. That was more or less the non-negotiable. It was leaving. It doesn't matter where. I found a really good opportunity here in the Netherlands. I have some family here, and I'll be doing my best to become part of the Netherlands, which has been gone pretty smoothly. I'm very grateful. I stumbled upon this corner through, well, I think 2017 Jordan Peterson videos. I was still in Venezuela, and it was something that kept me going. Especially like the environment there politically and socially was very crazy. My years in university were very insane, and like we had strikes all the time, and there were big protests, and there was fire on the streets, and like the things were collapsing everywhere. And I was going to protests, and there was so much corruption, and it was so clear that we were under like something that was not okay. And there was a lot of fear and justified uncertainty, like you wouldn't know what to do. Most people were frozen. So Jordan Peterson really helped me. His ideas really helped me carry through me as part of that time, and kind of kept me motivated to just graduate, do well, find a way to leave, and go. And I stayed. Basically following everything he did, which led me to John Vervaeke, and eventually to actually found directly the recordings of the Thunder Bay conference, which that's actually what led me more to Jonathan Padro and John Van der Clay.
Paul van der Klee.
Paul van der Clay. And that then I started following. Wow, this priest guy is like pretty smart. I want to continue listening to what he's doing. And I thought his synthesis approach and kind of more the what Grimm calls the ball the how is it the board? No, at school that you have your homeroom. His homeroom approach to kind of get everything together and process what's going on and what people are doing. I found it very intriguing and very very helpful, and I've been following him since. And I heard the announcement for the Breakwater Festival, so I was like, wow. Like Rene, I was there's other weird people, because I haven't really interacted with anyone else in the corner so far. I've been like a what you call a lurker for some time. I'm just being watching stuff, and really I talk about it with my friends, but they're not really connected to all these weird people with like 3,000 views of their videos. This is not really popular. This is not their cup of tea directly. So yeah, I'm very curious, a bit nervous as well. I haven't interacted with people from this little corner or over the internet like this. Randos United, it's not something I've done. So I'm very much looking forward to meeting some real people, and I don't know what to expect. Honestly, yeah. But I'm open-minded.
Great.
Nice.
Thank you, Diego. Gordon, what about you?
So I come from Macedonia, but right now I live in Germany. I study here, completely in English. I also work in English part time, and close like an hour away from Dortmund. That's where I am. So my story is a little interesting with the Bridges of Meaning Discord. Actually, I found about it way later. So there was, I remember I was watching Jonathan Pajot. He had this one of his Q&A videos with somebody else there. I don't remember, but they mentioned, oh, there's gonna be a Bridges of Meaning festival in Europe. I'm like, oh yes, the one place in Europe, yeah. And then I googled it, and it looked like a type of festival where people would want to have these type of conversations, about Pajot or whatever it is, symbolism or Reiki stuff. And I found out about the festival and everything else way before I found out about the Discord channel or even Paul van der Clay. And I think if I remember correctly, when I joined the festival, I think I might be wrong, but I think I wasn't even subscribed to his channel, Paul van der Clay. I think I met him live before I even subscribed to his channel. Like that.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
It was so weird, but yeah, that's how I found out about it, and I had a blast in it. So I've been having a similar journey, just like everybody else. Like I started with Jordan Peterson, from the Cafe Newman interview. and then for a sort of step by step, I kind of got into Peugeot, and then, well, not kind of. Jordan released one of Peugeot's videos. It's called, I think it's just called A Symbolic World or something. It's on Peterson's channel, and it's a lecture that Peugeot gave to what was it? Some Carl Jung Society or something. What it was called. But it was just a lecture. He was describing the story of Genesis, and I remember watching the first 20 minutes or so and not quite understanding what Peugeot was talking about, and then he pulled up the diagram with Genesis and how the structure of the thing. And I was like, "There's a structure to this? Wait a minute." It's not just like a bunch of stories put down like randomly or whatever. And then that was the rabbit hole, and from then on I was just deep into it. Like for the next 2 weeks, I found this playlist he has on his YouTube channel called Symbolism Start Here, and for like a full-on year I was just like obsessed with it. Oh well, and then I found out about the the story, the Q&A, and I found out about the Bridges of Meaning Festival, and until then, funny enough, I was just, I guess, well, I would say atheist, but not really. I kind of understand religion from the perspective of Jordan Peterson, and I think to some degree Jordan Peterson still sort of relies on this, what Vervaeke would call like a flat ontology of it. So it wasn't completely, and for the first time I was really kind of thinking with the reality based on levels ideas from Peugeot. But I never really considered becoming a Christian. I sort of did, like in the back of my head, I was thinking like maybe, back of my mind, sorry, I was thinking like maybe one point I'd start going to church or whatever. But it wasn't until I went to the festival. I met this one guy, Tumor Wies, and he doesn't know. I haven't talked to him since. I should. But he was so, I had a discussion with Renee as well. Like he was so unapologetic about it. That was the description. I really like that description. He was just so very, yeah, overtly Christian. And interestingly, I remember thinking like, I come from Macedonia. Macedonia is a predominantly Orthodox country, and I never grew up in like with faith or anything. I was baptized as a baby because it was traditional to do so. Whatever, people like keeping up with the traditions over there, but I never went once to a liturgy or whatever it is. No experience. And I remember being in the festival, and then this guy, Tumor Wies, being so overtly, let's say, Orthodox, not quite, but jokingly, and then me thinking like,
oh, and you like freezing.
We lost him. No, he froze.
He's so excited that he froze.
Oh, it's a good story though. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You're back.
Gordon, you froze on the peak of your excitement.
Perfect. Makes it even better. Well, yeah. So that's when I seriously started considering like going. I remember in the festival, he played music, Tumor Wies, and with his friends, and they had like, it was in this dark room, completely dark, and they had smoke and incense everywhere, and so you can smell the smell and like the fragrance, and then there was the smoke in the dark room and some sort of like disco lights, if I could call them, and they had it wasn't like an iconostasis, but they had a wall filled with icons that they put there, and they had like an icon of Christopher and whatnot, and I remember being there, and that was the closest thing I've had to a liturgy in my life, for the first time, I mean, right? Because I've never gone to church. And after about 6 months afterwards or something, I found a Macedonian church close, actually near Dortmund. And that's where I started going. And step by step, I started on this journey of mine. But point being, the festival was very life-changing. And so I'm hoping for something like that for the next one. I think that's enough for some life-changing events and whatnot.
Great, thank you very much, Gordon. One note on the concert, like there were only like a handful of people who really liked the live performance. A lot of people said like, I don't know, it's strange to have this this meaning wave internet phenomenon in front of you. I don't know how to behave towards this. Like, is it a concert, or is it something church-like? I don't know how to behave towards this. That was interesting to watch. I also loved it. You loved it, and a handful of other people also liked it very much. But a lot of people said like, I don't know, it wasn't for me. So that was interesting to watch. Huh?
Yeah, well, it's also, the thing is that it's just a bunch of speeches with music behind them, and it's not typical music that you listen to. So it It's kind of like a half concert, like sort of like in between music and a speech. So
Yeah.
it's not everybody's cup of tea, but if you thought about it as just people having fun or whatever, something in those lines. Like if you just enjoyed the experience, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, we as festival organizers, we of course we experiment with a lot of formats, right? And
Yeah.
I think I'm glad that we did it to experiment with it, and as you see, some people really got something out of it, and others preferred other formats. And yeah, that's also why we are excited about the new format of the fishbowl, and we want to try out things. We also, in the future, we also want to include more art, maybe because we have a lot of skilled artists in this
Oh,
corner. But yeah, because this corner is known for the thinky talky parts, but we also want to experiment with different formats. And I'm going to introduce myself briefly because Diego doesn't know me that well, but the plan is that you guys are talking. But my intro is like, yeah, I'm Matthias. I'm one of the organizers of Breakwater Festival, also organized the Bridges of Meaning Festival last year here in Germany. And yeah, how did I get here? In 2017, I saw Peterson's biblical series, and shortly after that, I came across Paul van der Kley because I thought, like, okay, is this legit? What does the church say about this? So, in what category does this guy fit? I have never heard something like that. And then Paul van der Kley stepped up and commented it from a Christian perspective, and that was very helpful. And around him, this community formed first under the YouTube comments, and then they put together a Discord server. I was there from the early start, and after some time, I somehow founded a German sub community in this server, and we started to have regular voice chats and estuary rounds, and then after some time, I also started a meetup here in Mannheim, an in-person meetup where we meet once a month, and that is also going now for over a year, and that's also, gives us much strength for and motivation to do more. And then last year, Cassidy and we organized the Bridges of Meaning Festival, and now the Breakwater Festival. So yeah, that's my introduction. And I would just say, okay, like, you have these introductions now, and you read something about the festival. I don't know. It's just do a second round of what popped, what became visible to you. What do you want to talk more about? What does excite you, René?
If you can say anything about this, I don't know how much you talked with Mr. Steininger beforehand, but I would be curious about this fishbowl thing. It sounds hilarious. Like, what is it? Why with so many people? What's it about? If you can say anything about that.
I haven't talked about that with him in detail. I took part in something like it before. I think it will be something like, okay, there's a circle of chairs in the middle, and then there's an audience outside, and a conversation probably happening in the middle, and there will be chairs where people can change positions. Like, if someone from the audience wants to say something, he can go on one of the free chairs. I could imagine that's something in that direction, but we haven't figured out the details with him. So
Sounds like trying to do a podcast, but in real life.
he he has experiences with it. He also runs conferences regularly. So yeah. What else, René?
What else?
Also, what the others said, like you have some personal stories here, or you also have the experience of last year's festival.
I would let you guys talk first. I will have to think about that question a bit.
Okay, Diego, since you're new, maybe you have a lot of questions or topics you want to dive into.
Yeah, I'm still not used to this talking to strangers thing, but we'll get there. So, yeah, I guess my expectations. What am I hoping to find? Like, I guess like the topics I hope to explore with other people are. I've been struggling with the, you have to take your own cross up the hill part of things. And I've been thinking of like how to integrate, you know, all these ideas in like practical involvement with my local community. And I don't know, I haven't found the answer exactly how to do that. I have some, I mean, I'm participating in church. I go to church, by the way. And we have some little groups. But I'm trying to find a way in which I can do more. And I'm hoping to talk to more people about how they've done local involvement and how that's gone. And yeah, so because I'm trying to have the rubber hit the road, I guess is why I'm mostly motivated to go to this festival.
Very good, very good. Let's hear Gordon first, and then yeah, maybe also others can respond to your.
Before I start,
idea.
do we have a schedule yet for the new festival?
We have a first draft, but that's not published yet.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough, that's why. Man, one of the best things I remember from the previous festival was the estuary itself. I'm really hoping for something more like estuary sessions, because I also remember the discussions that people had. Not everybody's so open about having conversations with just about everybody. Not because they don't want to, it's because they feel more introverted and it's more difficult for them to just approach people. And I'm more extrovert, so I remember having a blast. I just went to everybody, talked to everybody, but not everybody can do that. And the estuary element really helped people because you could sit down and it'd be interesting to have something like this, just an idea, but something I'm hoping for. Maybe an estuary one estuary session where people just voluntarily choose their own groups and then they talk about whatever they need to talk about, what they want to talk about. But one where it's less voluntary is then like you don't choose your groups, but you kind of randomly are met with different people or put together with different people. That would be interesting. Because what I really want to see is more people talking to more other people, more of a mix-up. What I think I sort of saw happening in the first festival was people kind of just grouped in their own clusters. Like they found people they were comfortable with, and they would grouped in some clusters, and they just didn't leave the cluster much. Sometimes, depending on whether there was an activity or whatnot. But it'd be interesting to shake it up a little bit because there'll be a lot more interesting ideas spoken about and a lot of things, a lot more areas kind of explored in terms of thinking if there's an well, that sense. What else? I don't know. I don't have much expectations, to be honest, because really what I'm hoping for is just to be there and talk with people. That sounds like a very small thing, but really it's enormous because you don't get to meet a lot of people that are interested in these topics, and these topics are very, very difficult. And they take a lot of effort. And I remember one of the things that the first festival helped me with is when you are surrounded by people like this, it puts you in your place. And I remember that. Like I remember I have these things that I think I know and I think I understand, and then I had to explain to some other people, and then these other people also know about these ideas, but they know a lot more than I do. And it puts me right in my place, and then I know exactly how much more I need to read or need to get in, or what exactly I'm more interested and less interested in some other things, because now I can like gonna put them out there in the open. So that was really helpful, and that by itself is, I think, maybe even 70-80% of the whole festival experience. The rest of the activities are fine, but I think that's the most important element. So anything to do with that, I think is, well, it's what I'm hoping for. Whether it is in terms of events or just, free time where people can just sit and meet. And I also, this will be great if it can happen for this festival. I remember in the first one, the very first day when we met up for the first time, it was nighttime, and there was a campfire. And then people sat around the campfire in a circle, and one person had a guitar, and there was like a booklet with songs, and people just sang. And it was such a good start to the festival. I loved it so much. So something of that sort is what I have in mind.
Yeah,
Right.
I can respond to 2 points directly. So yeah, Friday will also be open arrival and campfire and yeah, some musicians at the
Amazing.
campfire. So yeah, that's the unstructured part, and you, Gordon, you can make sure that people get mixed up and you can talk to different people, and that's, I mean, it's also, that's why I start to have these conversations in preparation, that people can connect before they even arrive there. and those will also be in different randomly mixed groups. And I mean, I can do some of those convos, and of course, if you guys want to connect even more, you can also start to do videos with each other. Before, that's also a possibility. And yes, on the first day, like after the first talk, there will already be a first estuary part where you can go together in small groups and get to know each other and discuss. And there will be shared meals throughout the weekend. And yeah, also on the second evening, there will also be campfire. And I think, I mean, what you said also connects very good to what Diego said, like that he wants to get more concrete, more involved. The rubber should meet the road. And Gordon, you said that this was the experience for you last year at the festival. And yeah, I think that's the right impulse, Diego, that you come to the festival to make it more concrete for you, to see how can you integrate it more into your life.
Yeah, perhaps we need a couple more LARPers to see where people are at. Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, when is it a mental exercise and listening to people like John Vervaeke and Jordan Hall, who are like at this level of abstraction, and how to bring it to normal application of things that happen in your life, and connect to people that with whom that resonates. I don't really have friends that are at there, so I'm very much also looking forward to, like Gordon, to the social aspect. And I actually got involved with so I went to John Van Donk's horrible website for Elstad. Oh my god, that thing needs an update. That thing, I work in IT, so I was like my eyes. So yeah, I signed up for that, so I will have a meeting with them some Thursday at the only time that's okay for Europeans to join. We'll see how that goes. I got linked up with the Discord server immediately. Some Dutch people added me to some estuary group here in the Netherlands, which I didn't know existed. So that's very fun. So maybe I'll get to that. Will be concrete even before the festival. So I'm very, very happy about that. But I think that for me also the challenge. So I'm very excited with the prospect of getting to know people within the corner. But I am also extremely interested is in the outside of the corner part. It's actually the people, like not so much the onboarding process. It's not the onboarding problem, a little bit, but it's more like how to involve or engage people that are not at all aware of anything, and have to speak to them in a way that like it's engaging, and they can, because I see again things around me, literally in my neighborhood, my 2 blocks, like it's a mess in many ways, and there's super multicultural, different beliefs, different religions, different social standings, a lot of these things, and I would like to know, I would like to learn, I guess, or explore how to then engage with that, and if people have done it and how that's gone. So I guess that's a little bit what I'm puzzling with.
But I think part of this is actually what this whole thing is about. This I don't know who just said it, the thinky talky or what? It's like all very abstract and very like in this universal realm of mind, and it's like it's non-corporeal. It's not embodied. It's not it doesn't have a practical element to it, and therefore you kind of automatically use like a whole bunch of people, because actually not many people are that interested in the abstract ideas, right? And the discussing and like curiously investigating like abstract thought, which is natural because it's not distributed evenly. And so here you have a bunch of people who are extremely curious about all of this, and then you meet them, like Gordon just said. Usually you have this kind of interaction from time to time, maybe like a friend of a friend of a friend that you meet at some party or something. Like you meet another person who's like really interested in stuff like that, and you talk for, I don't know, 2 hours, and time passes on, and it's like very, very curious and interesting, exciting. But now you have like, I don't know, almost 50 people around you who are like equally excited about those things as you are. So and that's something special, but still we have to keep in mind that this is only one part of the story, right? The thinking and the abstraction. It's a necessary part, but it's still just a part. The body and the embodiment, the word praxis has a lot of baggage, but the practical element of it is also important.
Eddie, welcome.
Hello, hello. I'm sorry that I got late. I fell asleep a few minutes before we started. So
That's fine. I thought it was my mistake that I sent you the wrong time zone description, but
no.
Okay.
Hope you feel fresh.
I woke up like at 4 and went running in the morning, and just I finished my exam, so I kind of have a free day, so I just fall asleep.
How are you, Teddy?
So good to see you guys. Good to see
Good to see you too.
I'm excellent now that I see you. So Diego, nice to meet you. We're not acquainted. I know the other guys from last year, so nice to meet you.
Nice.
Maybe
So I'm Teddy. I'm from Israel, and I'm part of the Bridges community, I guess like 2 years. And I've been last year in Germany and met everybody. And this year I'm going both to Germany and to Georgia. So, so Georgia is going to be Burn Power's gathering. And so that's
very nice. Are you coming from? You live in Israel?
Yes.
Okay. Oh wow, that's quite the trip. That's cool. Very nice. Cool. Well, I guess in a nutshell.
Where are you from, Diego?
Yeah. So I'm from Venezuela. So from Latin America, and I came to the Netherlands 5 years ago. And yeah, actually converted in the Netherlands. I guess I didn't tell the rest. And been following mostly Jordan and Rowan de Clay and John Reiki, and got here. Haven't really met any real life LARPers yet, so I'm very excited.
Quick question: did you become Orthodox or something else?
I just walked into the first church I found, man. I didn't really know.
Fair enough.
I went to so for I guess at the first church I went to was just by practicalities, it was the only church in English around me, and that happened to be an Orthodox church, but not really an Orthodox church. I mean, it was more Pentecostal, I think, closer to Pentecostal than Orthodox. There was no incense. There was no essential oils. There was no icons. They had a very good. They had better PowerPoint skills.
It's not an Orthodox.
They called themselves Orthodox, so that was fun.
I see.
No. It was the PowerPoint presentations that really put me off. It's like there's no way that my pastor can pull off better animation.
The more you describe it, the less
puts me completely off. It was a nice place though, very nice people. And then I moved from city because some other circumstances, and I'm now in Gouda, the place where we make the cheese that we export everywhere. And in Gouda, I go to the oldest church that there is, and it just happens to be Protestant, very traditional Protestant. And actually struggling a bit with it in the sense that everything is in Dutch first, so I have to really insanely focus to follow what the hell's going on. So when I compare it to like Paul's like Sunday sermons that he posts, it's like the difference is just completely, again, it's completely different level of understanding and engagement with what's going on. But I'm doing it more for the praxis, as Renee was mentioning. It's more for the embodied, getting to know people, being part of something, and but it's not particularly a place that I think right now itches my scratches my itch for exploring religious ideas in that particular context. It's I think it's more like a communal thing for me right now.
Well, it sort of sounds like you haven't jumped in the pool yet, but you're sort of testing the water to see if it's cold or not. From my perspective, I don't know.
Why do you consider jumping into the pool?
For me,
Me? Yeah.
Yeah, Gordon. What do you mean? What you say? Like it doesn't sound you jumped in the pool. So what is the jumping in the pool?
Well, it sort of sounds like he's still experimenting with church and whatnot. Like, for instance, quick question, I don't know, but are you baptized, for instance?
yeah, got baptized. I got in the
Okay.
pool, literally.
So he was
Yeah.
jumping in the
Oh,
pool.
never
Yeah,
mind,
yeah,
never
yeah,
mind,
yeah.
never mind.
Yeah. I have a friend
All
told me,
right.
yeah, I got dunked.
No, but I'm only asking because it's almost for me at least. It kind of sounded like you're doubting if you want to remain there. Like you've started
Yeah, so-
going, but you're not exactly certain it's home yet. That's what it sounded like.
yeah. So the church does not feel as home yet. It is very much a active effort to go. I think right now it's like a conscious thing that I do, and it's a discipline. But it's not like a place where I'm passionately following and like oh my god, I can't wait for the next thing that the Chris is gonna say.
May I raise the topic of LARPing because
Yeah.
I kind of
Okay.
I don't know if I'm I don't think I'm struggling with it. I'm just acknowledging that is also part of my experience as well. So I've been praying for the last 2 years. I kind of started to acknowledge to my family and friends that I'm becoming serious into Christianity, which is weird here considering. But yeah, I also I approach the I'm trying to approach the praying stuff. Not trying. I'm approaching them as it is. I'm doing the stuff that I should do, not every day, like most days, but not every morning and evening. Sometimes morning is much more difficult for me than evening to continue. But I still feel like, yeah, I probably will have this sense of LARPing of like, I don't know how to place the word believe. Like, I have no idea what to do with it. Like,
Yeah.
I have a certain arguments of theology. I have a certain argumentation for my atheist friends and for so on and so forth. I even started to advise accidentally to my ex about God. We haven't spoke for 3 years, and she don't have friends who are philosophically minded, and she decided to ask me a question about like how you settled free will and the will of God, right? So the determinism of God. And like we talk about, so like I started to participate in the questions and being this kind of religious person, but I still feel like yeah, I am not that I not belong, because I understand that I'm always welcome, but that I will never have the feeling of being part of it. And I always make the connection. So just Diego, for you, it's like I'm from Russia. So I was born in Russia and I came to Israel when I was 5. And so I have this sense of an immigrant.
Yeah.
And I always will have the sense of an immigrant. Like no matter how much Israeli songs and Israeli culture I know, I still an outsider, right? And I have the same equivalent to coming to the faith. Like I know that I think that most of my life I will be an immigrant to the faith, but I hope my children will be locals.
Yeah.
Right, something like that.
Yeah, indeed.
That's
indeed.
interesting.
Yeah,
I
and
think,
that's exactly something I've also experienced. It's like, and in a way, it's painful to see that like how welcome I am. I can see these people at church and they're like open arms, and they're like you can find your spot here, and do you want to participate and these things. But at the same time, it's like there's such a, I feel like I determine myself that it's also like I am an outsider in the sense that I am not participating. Like I'm not really participating in things the same way or see them the same way they do. And that there's a distance there that it's so hard to gap, like to really bridge a gap there. And yeah, it's a struggle, man. I think, and again, seeing the distance and how for them it's self-evident that you're just welcome. It's really like challenging to face that, for me at least.
I think one aspect
Teddy,
of it,
for how
actually-
long do you go to church now?
let Gordon continue. You'll get all the information.
I mean, it takes some time, and I think you
Yeah.
just have to wait. Like, I mean, what I always, the wisdom you get in this corner, for example, is, I don't know, one line that really helped me was this guy, I think his name was Nathan Jacobs. He was on Paul's channel some years ago, and he said like, okay, I changed from Protestantism to Orthodoxy, but when I asked my priest, so how can I do this with my family, he said like, yeah, you have to wait for 7 years and don't act in a rush, and that's on you, and it's not on you to change those things. And I think,
yeah, I'm not personally bothered by it. I'm just acknowledging that it's there, and I understand. I just found, so I've been going for a Catholic place for some times because I couldn't find something close to me. So I just found this very small parish of Orthodoxy, which is kind of my birthplace parish, and started going there. And yeah, there's few things that is weird. For example, I guess contrary to maybe a Protestant, especially Calvinistic branch, like it's weird to be the, I don't want to be like, it's weird to be the smartest person there. Like not smartest just intellectually, but smartest in the questions of kind of really almost religious questions. It's weird. No, but Gordon, I understand your eyebrow. I understand that. I'm not saying it to pat her on my back.
I know, but I'm thinking like I had those thoughts in my head too, and I knew how horrible I felt for having those thoughts.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Like I cannot stop myself. I'm finding myself that in the end of the service, when we find ourselves and we're talking with one another, I'm getting in the preaching mode. And like I have to like stop myself. Like, no, Teddy, you're here to learn. You're not here to convince everybody that you are amazing.
I think one aspect of this feeling though, that I think to some extent all of us that are turning Orthodox are kind of having this LARPing quote unquote moment, because the aspect that we came from it, right, is because of mostly Pajot and the symbolism aspect of it, right? And because we came from that perspective, it's not actually just understanding the story. We're not really engaged in the story. I think in our heads, we don't think like materialists, or not as much anymore. But in our actions, it kind of feels like that. Because we go to church and it sort of feels, at least in my personal experience, a little mechanical. Like there's a lot of things I want to get involved in and whatnot, but I don't feel engaged in the stories. I don't feel like I'm receiving the traditions of Abraham or whatever it is. And if we're gonna come from the aspect of the symbolism, I think it's always gonna feel foreign unless we're get deep into the stories themselves. Otherwise, because we kind of have to think like, oh, this guy reminds me of that character, and that guy reminds me of this other character, and this situation reminds me of that one character that did that one thing in that one place, and there was the waters and the chaos and the whatnot. And of course, it's we'd be thinking about it in that like jumbled way, but at one point it becomes part of your intuition, I think, because then you start to see the world from that aspect, right? For instance, you keep thinking about, let's say, the whole situation of, let's say, your own life and other people's life and the church, and you start seeing it from the perspective, let's say, of the story of the resurrection. And then after a bunch of thinking, it gets intuitively there. And that's the part of our story that's missing, is that we're not part of the story, or it's very difficult to become part of the story, because even if we want to, it almost feels like we're the only people trying to do that. Because all other Orthodox parishes sort of, it's been my experience, at least in the Balkans, that it sort of feels like a folk religion. It's like, oh, these are our traditions, and we got them from our grandparents, and they got it from their own parents and grandparents and whatnot, and it's a thing we have to keep alive for the sake of keeping it alive, for the sake of tradition. But it doesn't feel like you're engaged in the story itself. And it's not like you're chasing eternal life. It's more like you're trying to upkeep with the tradition itself. And it's a totally different aspect. But I think that's also, here's a different perspective on it. it's also actually a beautiful thing, because now this gives us the responsibility to try and bring that story to other people. Of course, not necessarily through preaching, but it could be just in the way we act, because people pick up on that. Like people, it's much easier for people to pick up on how you behave and your actions than what you say a lot of the times. And it's sort of like a calling for our generation to
Yeah.
not revive the story. Maybe that's a harsh word. But I don't know what I'll use revive, because I don't know. I don't have any other word in mind. But bring the
No,
stories
but
back.
but the sacrifice of being an immigrant, right? Because
Yeah.
when you're an immigrant, you losing, you carry the burden of nostalgia of the old world on your back. And I see it with my parents, I see it in myself, although I didn't grow up there, right? You carry those names of saints, let's call them, or people who my parents adore, or places that they felt close to them, and they carry it on the back, and they mean nothing to me. And it's a pain to them, right? Or the fact that some of their grandchildren don't speak Russian, right? So it's a pain. But this pain is the sacrifice for a better future, right? So maybe that's the let's call it our calling, as you said, right?
Right.
Something.
Well, there has to be a lot of suffering involved in sense. I mean, there's no other way. And I mean suffering even in the Verveki sense, right? It's not necessarily just pain, but it's when you undergo something. We just a loss of agency. Gonna have to lose the whatever current convictions you have and whatnot to try and sacrifice your own self for the, I guess, for the betterment of the faith. If that even makes sense. Maybe it's a little, I'm using high words here, but it's very difficult to bring that down on earth, I think. But Sora, I think in the meta analysis, it's what it comes down to. I think
The meta analysis.
I don't know what to call it.
Oh, that's great. No, it's been that's been our experience as well, Teddy. Like,
Yeah.
if for me, it's actually the other way around. It's more like my family is, well, we were baptized Catholic nominally, but very much no one had anything to do with the church. I think I have one aunt that's like really into it, but pretty much that's it. And my siblings, when I got baptized at age 23, my siblings are like, again, what are you doing? What is this thing you're talking about? So does it mean that you're like crazy now?
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and they're like, just like this raised eyebrow, this just like Gordon's, like a great eyebrow. Like,
I'm so
like,
sorry.
solid
I'm
3 years. And yeah, and again, and it's been a matter of show and don't tell. Because the telling just put them off completely. Like that was like a no start. That was a non-starter.
Right.
But it was actually the doing, the fact that, again, I told you guys, I feel very blessed. I feel very grateful. Things are falling into place very nicely for me. Many ways, I'm still an immigrant. I'm still like an outsider, but in many other aspects, things are falling into place very well, and that shows. And then that's actually become like a little bit. I've become more of a person to ask things too within my own family, for example, and then that's happened organically. So that's been nice to see. So it helps give some encouragement.
I mean,
Yeah, but plus
Gordon, what you told in the beginning was like, okay, you came to the festival last year, and like no person who told you anything about apologetics or anything brought you to the church, but just the participation in what, a festival? I mean, strange what happens there, right?
I mean, think about it. Sort of, it's a little crazy. Maybe it's a crazy thing to say, but it almost felt like a mythological event, because we have all these discussions and like whatever started with Jordan Peterson and then whatever involved with Jonathan Pajot, and they're sort of like quote unquote mythological figures. Not quite, right? But we get a lot of our knowledge from them. And now there's like this event where we're all gonna gather together and then talk about these ideas and try and figure it out. And there was no apologetics whatsoever, because everybody was trying to figure out what they believed, because I think I know what I believe until I have to explain it to somebody else. And then I start stumbling on my words. So I'm like, I have no idea what I believe in. Right? And then you go through this entire process, but it feels like you're engaging in the story for the very first time. because all of us are so disconnected in different places. So suddenly we come together, and then we can appreciate all these aspects that we've learned, or try and grapple with them. And so, of course, in retrospect, in this perspective, it makes sense that the festival kind of pushed me in this direction. That's what I'd say.
Gordon, how long have you been going?
Church. So I started around February.
Nice,
And,
good.
Every Sunday, but because I also found a Macedonian church, and I come from Macedonia.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's in the
You have kind
There's
of a
the connection
low
point.
hanging fruit, right? You're coming from
But,
that culture. Like
for me, it was a little different, because you said there's a nostalgic element for people in their culture. But I remember when I left Macedonia, I was very happy to leave, and so I had like a sort of like a disdain towards my own culture. Now, strangely enough, almost all Macedonians kind of have this. It's a very Macedonian thing to have. But okay, jokes aside, I remember coming into the church and having to find the good aspects of my culture that have been completely lost to me, because for one reason or another, I wasn't happy with it. And then it's more like I was rediscovering something that I couldn't discover back in my own country over here in the church. That's what it felt like. But yeah, it's really helpful that it's a Macedonian one.
May I ask, like, what? So this
Sure.
is an Orthodox church, right?
Yeah.
And the service in German?
No, Macedonian completely.
Oh,
In fact-
it's a Macedonian in Germany. You're in
Yes.
Germany, right?
I'm German. Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
In the beginning, so I come from Macedonia, but now I study in Germany.
Yeah,
I
I
live in
know.
Germany.
I remember the story. Yeah.
So a bunch of Macedonian immigrants basically made the church with donations, and actually my priest just opened the church. They used to have like a what's it called, a Protestant one, architecturally Protestant, I mean, that they bought, and they just had like sort of a very cheap iconostasis there until they could save up the money and build an actual church, and that's what they did.
Yeah,
And
right.
this was recent, actually.
So the service is in Macedonia, not in Old Slavonic?
Yes. Well,
Huh.
some songs are in Old Church Slavonic,
Okay.
but the rest of it is in Macedonian. It's a mixture. It sort of depends.
Well,
because you can do
how
them interchangeably.
How close Macedonian to Greek?
Not very, because it's a
Not
Slavic
very.
language.
Oh, yeah, right.
And Gordon, you're also planning to start an estuary at your church. Is that true?
I'm hoping to. Yeah, it depends on. So I wanted to get the old Protestant church is still there. It still belongs to the church. The church and the old building are just right next to each other. But there's gonna be some renovations involved. So even if I want to right now, I can't. And my priest told me I should try again in September to talk to him about it. So maybe around September period, I'll see. But I really want to, because if we can have this free space for next year, that'd be really good.
Yeah, I hope to do the same in the Netherlands, by the way. So,
Hmm.
so talking to a priest there, some senior person, elder at the church, to see if we can start that. But yeah, we'll see. Depends on
Why
what happens
not
with the-
not in a church? Why not just in a coffee shop?
That's what I was thinking as well, actually. And there's something about the fact that you come to a very specific place to have these diverse conversations, and you're not constantly surrounded by people, because you can go lash out and be very excited about the symbolism talks and whatnot, and not get people weirded out about whatever discussion you're having. Yeah.
That's true.
And plus, you can stay that for a few hours without bothering the cafe or whatnot, or having to order constantly, or just you have the space for yourself. That's one aspect, and the other aspect, it makes it more quote unquote official. Now has a place, and it's a name, like an identity, like the estuary, and then more people can join in this very specific place where you have the estuary. So it's not like a loose group with a bunch of people coming together and picking a cafe, but it's more like a sort of a place you can engage in.
I have the
Like a
experience-
club.
I have both the experience of hosting an estuary at a restaurant and at a church building. So it
Okay.
has its its ups and its downs. So yeah, I mean, for some people, I mean, imagine yourself 6 years ago. If someone would organize a meetup at a church, would you go there?
Right. Yeah.
No chance.
Yeah.
No chance.
And I mean, it has its ups and its downs. And what Gordon said, like in a restaurant, you sometimes don't have the room and the intimacy to really have deep talks. I mean, people are quite open; they will talk about all kinds of stuff. But then you have someone asking if you want something to drink. Then you have another table, and sometimes it gets loud. So the advantage, of course, for us is like having a quiet room where we can just be as long as we want. And yeah, I mean, we have to navigate that. Maybe in the future we will host both kinds of format in our city. Let's see.
Go do a SGR in a concert. Like, go to the bizarre places and do an SGR over there. Yep.
Actually, we had a round of talking about what we expect in the new festival and what we experienced in the previous festival and how the new festival might look like compared to the old one. And I don't think Teddy has said anything about this yet because he did it before Teddy showed up.
Very true.
Haven't heard.
It'd be nice, yeah.
So although I don't have any money, when I heard about the festival, I said like I need to scrape something. I don't know why. I just have the compulsion to come, right? And it's still hard for me to explain, and it's hard for me to explain the what I anticipated. So Gordon, I think it's not. I'm not talking to just to you. I'm talking to all of you, but it's not just. I cannot utter it in words. I think these things are moving underneath the surface, and this is kind of the participation in the story without giving it a specific goal. Right? This goal-oriented idea of practicality, like let's be practical. What we're trying to build, we're trying to build this kind of structure with this kind of wall. Like this kind of mindset is good when you try to build a building, and even though it's good for the first time that you start to lay the bricks, the plan is good for the first moment, then you need to adjust. So even here, the planning on spiritual terms I don't think it's appropriate. So
it sounds like you're saying that you want the heavenly aspect of the festival to remain a mystery.
Maybe so. But yeah, it was intense. Like it was intense last year for me, definitely. Like I have the capacity to talk for hours on end, but that broke me.
Me too.
Right. That was tough.
Oh wow.
And it was without, like, I visit Germany without drinking even a little bit of alcohol. Like that was surprising, and I was so high on just conversation.
Like this scientist guy told Jordan Peterson, like, you're high on symbols. Yeah. Dawkins told Jordan science.
Yeah, you're high at tools. Yeah. So I don't know. I still I think I said it to one of the meetings with, I think it was Rene last year when we spoke. I do feel as an outsider to the festival, because, well, I live on the edge of the empire, right? That's basically where I live. I live on the edge of the American empire, and I live on the edge of the European empire, a subgroup of the let's call it American empire. So I do feel kind of an outsider to that, but I'm content with that. I think the more interesting stuff happening on the edges rather than in the center.
There are the ideas of organizing Bridges of Meaning conference in Israel, right? Have you heard about that?
No.
Like,
Listen, I'm not part of the Israeli group that they talking with one another. Like, I don't know what happened and why. Like, I spoke with Jacob once when I just came to the Bridges of Meaning Discord, and we exchanged a few niceties. He tried to push me to be involved in the Post-Platonic, I think it was called, his channel. I kind of refused politely, but I spoke with most of them except Chezi, but I don't know. I never saw any of them, and I don't think there is any interest. Maybe because I decided to go on the Christian path. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't want to speak out of order. I think it's just my kind of way of dealing with people. That's the thing. So if it will happen in Israel, I'll be happy to participate and help organize and whatever. But we'll see.
I don't know how concrete their plans are. That was just an idea that was uttered somewhere.
I got few very interesting points about orthodoxy from my priest in Israel. So there's a very interesting way of how it all plays out here. So, like, for example, one is that orthodoxy in Israel is mainly pilgrim based. So it's for pilgrims. So all the services are in Old Slavonic, and there's kind of two different churches. So there's the Church of Russia, and there's the Church of the outside of Russia, which is the United. So this is the church that became Russian church after the Soviets came to power, and when the Soviets collapsed, they kind of joined back together, but now they're also started to separate. It's like so interesting what happened. But I also asked, like, okay, so what's happened with the services, like, and he said all the services are there. All the services are translated to Hebrew, so you have 100% everything in Hebrew, but nobody wants to start doing it. Why? Because it will signal to maybe the government and the officials that you want to evangelize the population, which will be kind of not a good not showing good faith to the government. So there's very interesting stuff. There's tons and tons and tons of land that belongs to the Orthodox Church here in Israel, but they're also reluctant to build churches, although they have the money from the Russian oligarchs. It's so weird. Like, it's so weird. All this dynamic that happened.
Even if they build them, would there be a high attendance, or would it just be for pilgrims again?
Exactly. I think that's depends. It depends in what cities. There are cities where there's more Russian people. There's cities which are less. It's a good question, Gordon. Maybe they're reluctant to start building because lack of interest. I think it's the mix. It's a mix of a lot of stuff. So I don't know.
Right, guys, I do need to head back to work.
Yeah, me as well. Maybe one last round. Do you? I mean, you can leave, Diego, but one last question. How will you travel to the festival, you guys? And have you already planned your accommodation, stuff like that?
I still haven't planned my accommodation. I'll see. I might go to the Nature Sprints or whatever it's called. Either that or I might just get a hotel room or something. I'll think about it. But for traveling, I want to go there by trains, and especially because Deutsche Bahn is very difficult. So the difficult training and the long hours and whatnot makes it it makes it really feel like a pilgrimage. Speaking of pilgrimages, all the way to the festival.
However, you have to
Because-
bear in mind that Mannheim is kind of like a traffic hub, so it would be much easier to get to Mannheim than to Landau.
I imagine so,
Gordon,
yeah.
start walking.
not like that. Oh,
I'll be flying in. I don't know yet when and why. Sorry, in what dates, because I don't know. I need to speak. I have an idea. Aaron suggested to me last year, so I will need to check a few things with him. So maybe I'll come for more than just a few days, but I don't know yet. And our hopes will be so. My preferred accommodation will be in as many people in one place as possible. So if there's, I don't know, Mikhail organizing some joint accommodation, I'll hope to jump on that. And
Maybe René, you can connect the two.
Sure
But
thing,
connect-
sure thing. Michael, you to Michael. Right? Yeah, he's organizing the what's it?
The stay
Yeah,
at
the
the
places-
Naturfreunde house, Nature
Right,
Friends. Yeah.
Right.
They have a hostel that is. They
So
can
the-
sleep up to 20 people, and I think Diego, you also want to stay there, right?
Yeah, I will stay also. I want to get the full immersion. So it's just
You won't get the
just
full
be
version
around
without the
weirdos
rain.
the longest time possible. So that's and I intend to go either carpool with someone. I might drive myself. Need to see whether I get my license or not. Yeah, I'll be either driving or carpooling with some other people from here from the islands. But there's a Discord little channel for that now in the festivals Discord.
Oh, just I want to mention one thing. What I was thinking, I don't want to do the same thing I've done last year. So interviewing every single person individually. I think of doing a weekly hang around spot. So I'll set kind of a time, date, specific. So yeah. So my question is that for you, the German folks, because you have different traditions of where you are available usually with work. What is kind of the lowest easiest day for me to organize it? So like Sunday, probably not because it's church day. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever. Saturday because people are home, but although Saturday and it's summer, so people going for vacation or some stuff. So what is your advice to me regarding just the day? Because I'm kind of
Organize what? Sorry, Ted, I couldn't hear you.
I'm asking what is I want to organize like once a week meeting until the festival, just a Zoom meeting, not as jury, just like for us if somebody want to jump in to say hello and jump out, not something too official.
And not recorded or recorded?
Not recorded,
Just
like
casual talk.
Just
Yeah.
casual talk, just to say hello, because people get nervous, and I saw it last year, and I just want it to be easier, and I just want a fixed day. So well, even if people will miss it for 2 weeks, they said like, oh right, I will go to in 3 weeks that day. Teddy will be there. Right?
Teddy, that's a very good idea. I would suggest that you write a question in the festival server in the main channel about your idea. And I mean, for example, the German estuary is every 2 weeks on Wednesday evening. And I would say probably evening is probably the best for some people, but maybe you just write your idea and propose 1 or 2 weekdays and ask people what does fit you best. Then you get some feedback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do it.
I was thinking maybe Saturday sounds nice, depending, but
Could be.
For me, Monday evenings would be great. I can make time Mondays always.
okay.
But, yeah. Or Saturday
Okay.
mornings if it's like a good time, could be as well.
I'm more
René, how
flexible.
are you
I
going to
don't know.
travel?
I'm going to travel with the lovely Danny and his fiance from a bit north from where I'm staying. So
She's
we will
coming
drive
too?
together down. I think so, yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah, she
last
was.
year.
she
And
wa-
they won't be fiance and fiancé or
at that
whatever.
time they won't be
Yeah,
anymore.
they will be married by that time. So
Really? Oh,
yeah, yeah, they get me married on the 26th of August.
So now everybody knows.
Yeah.
No. Oh wow.
All right,
Everybody
because
of the
I
Festival
remember.
is invited, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember her really being an outsider because she should have showed up because of her fiance. I was like, I guess I'm here because of him. But like, she wasn't into these discussions or whatever. Like, she was like, all right. That was so
Yeah,
that was so
yeah.
cool. That was so interesting. Okay.
Awesome, guys.
Just one last thing, Matthias, if I may. I can only anybody watching this thinking about going to the festival, having bought a ticket already, and having that as a certainty, or maybe just maybe I don't know. Just as a, let's say, best practice from last time, it was a really like amazing idea from Teddy to just have this offer to or this not offer, yeah, offer, invite, whatever,
Challenge.
good this challenge. Just write to some people in the chat, or just say, you know, I'm gonna pick up on this challenge, and let's talk for like a half an hour maybe, just before the festival, because it's so much easier to then get engaged at the festival, because you have this, the ice is broken, the wall is broken. You don't have this like initial whatever, I don't know, because you have it's like you immediately increase familiarity, and it's like you've met before like a couple of times, even though you haven't, but you have this nice foundation to walk on from now on. So I can only recommend anybody thinking about going to, or definitely going to the festival, just go talk to people, pick up on this offer from Teddy, trying to make time for this hangout thing, and just talk or sit there and lurk, whatever.
Yeah.
As usual.
Thank you. Very, very good last words. Thank you, guys. Have a nice day, and see you soon.
Bye
Bye
See you
bye.
guys. Ciao. Pleasure. Bye bye.
Bye.